Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and today in Death Card Tactics, by popular demand, I'm making a review of the Fast Attack Daemon Engines of the Death Guard, looking at the Foetid Bloatdrone, the Myphitic Blighthauler, and the Forge World Greater Blightdrone. So let's get started. So the 2nd of February 2021, still waiting for my Codex, and the wait seems never ending. I don't even know where the transport or the toll customs maybe have got my shipment stuck. But thank you all for your continued support, encouragement, and feedback to the channel, and special thanks to my patrons for their continued support. In this video, I will review and compare the Fast Attack Daemon Engines at our disposal. We have the configurable Foetid Bloatdrone with a nasty MOWER option that looks very interesting. We have the superstar of the pre-Codex 9th, the Myphitic Blighthauler, that now unfortunately has gotten quite a nasty point increase, and the lightning fast Forge World contender, the Greater Blightdrone, that has received a significant point decrease with Imperial Armor Compendium. So I will be, after an overview, I will be comparing their mobility, their ranged and melee damage they can output, and their durability. And also I will be comparing those with some of the other units that I've already analyzed in my previous videos, for example, our food squads, the Plague Burst Scroll, or other engines, and so on. So let's start with an overview of the stats before diving into the data. So let's get started. So here we have the baseline stats for the three fast attack units. We start with a Foetid Bloatdrone. The point cost is between 130 and 140 points per model, depending on the weapon loadout. It has a movement of 10 inches. The new standard weapon skill 3+ and ballistic skill 3+ for our Daemon Engines, which is a very good improvement in the new Codex. Strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, 4 attacks, 8 leadership, 3+ save, and they involve demonic, involve 5+ save. Additionally, it is a flyer, and it explodes on a 4+ when it dies, and gives 1 mortal wound within 6 inch to every unit within 6 inch, excluding Nurgle units, which is quite an improvement from previously. Previously they were also hurting our own units. It has disgusting resilience, and it can carry the contagions for -1 toughness. If we look at the Myphitic Blighthauler, the base stats are basically identical to the Foetid Bloatdrone. Yeah, by the way, the Foetid Bloatdrone now also has a single bracket. Previously it had 10 wounds, and therefore it was degrading, losing wounds. But this is a big improvement, sacrificing 1 wound, but at least you know you will have the same stats throughout the life of the Foetid Bloatdrone. The Myphitic Blighthauler has the same base stats as the Foetid Bloatdrone. It costs 140 points. Additionally, you can take multiple models in one unit, up to 3 models. So you can have 1 to 3 models in one unit. And then it cannot fly, but it's -1 to be hit in melee combat. It also has the explosion, the disgusting resilience, and the contagions. And then looking at the Greater Blightdrone, it's the cheapest option actually. So for 125 points per model, you get a unit that it has 14-inch movement. So this is really good, and it's the fastest we can get in the Death Guard units. And otherwise, it's the same stats. Again, this got also updated, so it only has 1 single profile. It does not degrade, so this is also great for a unit where we need to utilize the high movement. It can fly, of course. Otherwise, it has the same exploding, disgusting resilience, and contagions. They all share pretty much common keywords. They are vehicles, Daemon Engines. They can be part of a plague company. They are heretic Astartes, but they are not bubonic Astartes. They are Death Guard, and they are Chaos and Nurgle. So as we see, all have very similar baseline stats, and very importantly, Bloatdrone and Blightdrone do not have any brackets, which is a big plus for this, for especially the no degradation of movement, which is exactly what we need for a fast attack option. And Blightdrone is by far the most mobile, with a whopping 14-inch movement. In the Myphitic Blighthaulers, we can still take them as 3s, but we don't get any additional benefit from putting 3 in a unit, for example. We don't benefit more the weapon skill and the ballistic skill that they could before. A benefit for taking a larger unit with more models is that if you want to use some special stratagems or some, for example, to influence them with Ironclad Relic to give them 4+ invul, you get more benefit, of course, because it will affect 3 models instead of 1. And the explosions, as I said, no longer hurt the Nurgle units, which is nice. So looking at after the base options, let's look at their weapon options. So the Foetid Bloatdrone has 3 weapon options. You can have 2 speeders for 130 points. Then you have each speeder is an assault D6 weapon. So with this configuration, you will have 2 D6 assault weapon with a 12-inch range, strength 6, AP -1, damage 1, auto hit weapon. So it's a good flamer assault weapon. The heavy blight launcher is the most expensive for 140 points. You get a assault 6, a fixed number of high attacks. It's a 36-inch range, plague weapon, and it's strength 6. Now AP has been improved to -3 and a damage 2 weapon. So this is quite good against, for example, Space Marines with 2 wounds. Then we have the one very interesting weapon choice is the flesh mower, the big the big grass mower. Let's say for 135 points, then this unit doesn't have any shooting, but it's a melee weapon with it's a plague weapon, of course, strength +1, AP -2, damage 2, and so with a baseline strength of 6 of the Foetid Bloatdrone that does not degrade, this weapon has a strength of 7, and the additional rules are you get 3 hit rolls per attack. So basically with this mower you will be having 12 attacks in melee, and this is not degrading even if the Bloatdrone is losing some wounds. And basically the standard comes with a plague probe. So if you have the speeders and the blight launcher or the flesh mower, you additionally have the plague probe, which is its standard melee weapon with strength user, basically strength 6, AP -2, and damage 1 weapon. If we look at the Myphitic Blighthauler, we have 440 points. We have a standard loadout. It has the multi-melta, 2 shots, 2 heavy shots at 24-inch, which do additional damage at half range. It has the bile spurt, which is a assault D3 weapon with a short range, and this is a blast weapon, but it has additional rule that it can also be shot during engage, even if the Myphitic Blighthauler is caught in engagement range, it can still shoot this blast weapon. Normally blast weapons cannot be shot in point blank range. Then it also has the missile launcher as long range weaponry, where it can select a frag missile that is good against, let's say, hordes and weaker infantry, and also a crack missile. It can shoot 1 crack missile, which is a stronger D6 damage weapon with strength 8. And in melee, it has this gnashing maw with the strength of the user, AP -2 and damage 1. So it will get 4 attacks with this weapon, and this is a strength 6 weapon. So not so much you can configure, but you can select when shooting to use the frag profile or the crack profile, depending on the target you're shooting. And then finally, the Greater Blightdrone. It also has a standard loadout. You cannot change the weapons. It has a bile maw, but it's not the same bile maw or the gnashing maw or bile spurt here. There are a lot of names that are a bit complicated here. But the bile maw is an assault D6 weapon with range 18-inch, a plague weapon, and it's a strength 7, AP -1, damage 1, auto hit flamer type weapon. So this is quite good. If you want to advance it, you can still shoot with this auto hit weapon. And additionally, it has a Blight Reaper cannon, which is a heavy 4 weapon, like a Reaper autocannon basically, but it's a plague weapon with strength 7, AP -2, and damage 1 for 36-inch range. And in close combat, it also has a melee weapon. So it has it's a plague weapon, of course, the strength of the user, so basically strength 6, AP -2, and damage 1. Basically all of them have the same stats in melee, and the Foetid Bloatdrone, of course, can upgrade the melee weapon to a flesh mower. So as we can see, all have some melee capabilities. They have some long-range shooting, or can be configured for some long-range shooting, as well as some shorter range weaponry. In the Bloatdrone, we have, of course, to configure and select what weapon we want, and the others have standard configuration. And assault weapons are quite good for a fast unit that would fit advancing and shooting. So before we look at the data, how they perform, let's look at some buffs and synergies and stratagems. These fast attack demon engines are neither core nor bubonic Astartes, they cannot benefit from most of the death card auras and abilities. For example, a Lord they will not benefit from a reroll once to hit aura. They will not be benefiting from Arch Contaminator. They will not be benefiting from Talisman's relics or Talisman's abilities. They don't get inexorable advance to shoot their heavy weapons in point blank with no penalties. So basically, there is not much a character can do to buff them with additional abilities. There are a few, but normally they should manage themselves to do the base damage, and they don't need babysitting by some character normally. Now, of course, they can benefit from their Contagion -1 toughness aura, putting that on an opponent, and other contagions that might be affecting from plague companies. For example, minus additional AP to hit. The plague companies that have most synergies with vehicles and demon engines are the Inexorable, where we have the AP1 Ferric Blight Contagion. So if the Warlord is putting an enemy unit within this contagion, then everything shooting at this unit will improve the AP by 1. We have the -2 to be charged stratagem here if we take the Inexorable, and there is a relic that when the character carrying this relic kills an enemy model, you can select one inexorable vehicle, for example, these fast units, and regain 1 lost wound. So this is something that can benefit these fast attack demon engine vehicles. The Poxmonger's Plague Company, which was really popular in the early 9th edition, it has the Ironclad relic, which gives 4+ invul saves to demonic engines, but it's only valid for one unit the character selects in command phase. And probably you would get the best use out of it putting it on a unit of, for example, 3 Myphitic Blighthauler units. It's not bad, but you cannot no longer have, for example, 1 Demon Prince with this relic protecting a bunch of Myphitic Blighthaulers and a bunch of Foetid Bloatdrones at once. The Bilious Blood Rush stratagem, which is in Poxmongers, can help them. This allows demon engines to shoot their blast weapons in point blank range and adds +1 to hit in the weapons in engagement range. So it's helpful for all 3 of them, except of course the flamer weapons that have auto hit don't benefit additionally from +1, but it's good, for example, for the Myphitic Blighthauler. It can shoot the multi-melta and the missile and its missiles with no penalty in melee in point blank shooting. And for the heavy weapons, it negates the penalty of -1 to hit to shoot in engagement range. Some stratagems that are specific for the demon engines, we have the Demonic Gluttony. It says that each time a demon engine kills, when we play this for 1 CP, when the demon engine kills an enemy model in melee, regain 1 lost wound, maximum 3 wounds per phase. And it can be really good for these units, especially the one with the mower. If it takes some wounds, you can use this stratagem and it can regain the wounds as it's mowing over the opponent. The Dark Cravings stratagem is used for a Foetid Bloatdrone. It's used in the opponent's charge phase, and if the Foetid Bloatdrone is within an enemy within 6 inches and 5 inches vertically, it can perform heroic intervention moving 6 inches. So this is really great for the mower, making it more, the Foetid Bloatdrone can come more consistently into melee combat where it's doing the most. The Myphitic Blighthauler can benefit from a stratagem called Belching Fumes for 1 or 2 command points, depending on how big the unit is. And the Myphitic Blighthauler can be selected in the start of the opponent's shooting phase. And if you take this Myphitic Blighthauler unit, then each time an enemy model attacks the Myphitic Blighthaulers with the ranged weapons, you can reduce the number of shots by 1 to a minimum of 1. So 1 command point if you have 1 to 2 Myphitic Blighthaulers in the unit, or 2 command points if you have 3. And this can be really good, for example, if you have a lot of pesky eradicators trying to shoot your Myphitic Blighthaulers. By playing this, you are halving their amount of shots. And then we have the putrid detonation, and that make the vehicle auto-explode when dying, and you don't have to do the roll. This can be useful situationally. And then we have the flash outbreak in the general stratagem to improve our contagions. The fast attack units are a prime target for this to spread the contagion far ahead of the main Death Guard army, as the fast attack can advance and come close into the enemy lines. You can give them the contagion, they can copy the contagion of the Warlord and spread it additionally. So those are prime targets for this stratagem. So let's start comparing the Fast Attack Daemon Engines on mobility and maneuverability. And this is, of course, a very important aspect of a Fast Attack unit. Here is a table where you can see the rank of different vehicles in the Death Guard army with their movement, if they have flyability. The size of the base, of course, impacts how maneuverable they are across the terrain. And if, for example, their movement is degrading, if they are losing wounds. So it's clear to see that the greater Blightdrone is the fastest unit, and it can fly. It has, of course, the best maneuverability and mobility. The 14-inch movement allows for some interesting tactics. Having 2 units of greater Blightdrones should be able to give you a presence in, let's say, 4 table quarters already from turn 1. If you take, for most of the maps, if you take engage on all fronts secondary, so you will be starting scoring 3 victory points per turn already from turn 1. So you have, for example, 2 greater Blightdrones, they fly 14 inches, they come to the other side of the table. Normally it's a 12-inch move, 12-inch distance to your deployment zone. They can move 14, and with a small advance, maybe they can be safely on the other table quarter. You get 3 victory points from turn 1. The Bloatdrone is also quite maneuverable, 10-inch movement, and can fly. But in order to do the same thing as the Blightdrone, it needs some very good advance rolls. So it's not as good if you want to go for this, for engage all fronts very quickly, for example. The Myphitic Blighthauler has some good mobility. It has 10-inch movement, but it cannot fly. It has a bit bigger base, especially if you take 3 of them. You might have maybe problems putting them all over if there is a lot of terrain. But all of them, at least, are good in this respect, that their movement characteristic doesn't degrade with wounds. But so as far as mobility and maneuverability is concerned, of course, the greater Blightdrone is the big winner here. Now, starting to look at some of the damage output. Let's start by looking at the range damage at 24 inches. And here I'm just taking the average value across 31 targets I'm simulating. So these 31 targets range from everything like Gilliman and some Space Marine captains with shields up to Orc boys, for example, and everything in between. So this is a sort of average, doesn't tell the complete story, but it shows you let's say the overall ranking, let's say. So if we look at 24-inch range across these 31 targets that you can see in more details in some of my other videos, what they are, we see that the Bloatdrone with the Blight Launcher does the most damage per point. So here average 2.3 wounds per 100 points across all targets. Here I'm not taking into account any benefit additional, for example, -1 toughness on the opponent or any other buffs, but there are not many buffs you can give for the damage for these Daemon Engines anyway. So at 24-inch range, the Bloatdrone with the Blight Launcher does the most damage. The Myphitic Blighthauler is second. It can shoot the 2 Meltas and for example the Crack Missile, but it's not as efficient as 6 Blight Launcher shots here. And the greater Blightdrone, it has the heavy cannon shooting 4 Reaper autocannon shots. It's not as good as the others in doing the damage at long range. If we continue and come closer to the opponent, now we're at 12-inch range. Now more of the cannons can shoot. Again, average damage per 100 point. Again, no impact of buffs or toughness negative for the opponent. At 12-inch range, the Myphitic Blighthauler does the most damage. And this is because the multi-melta is now doing extra damage, d6 plus 2, and also the bile maw is within range. The Bloatdrone with the launcher still does the same damage as at 24 inches. Basically, it will have the same damage at 36 inches. But now we can see the Foetid Bloatdrone with the speeders. It does very similar damage with the 2d6 auto hit shots, compared to the 6 shots of the heavy blight launcher. And we see the greater Blightdrone is also doing some good damage. So basically, the other 3 options are doing very similar damage here. The greater Blightdrone also in this range can use its auto hit flamer weapon. And still, the Foetid Bloatdrone with MOWER cannot do anything, but now it's revving up the spinning drum of pain. So let's see what happens when we come closer to melee. So when we compare the melee damage per 100 point, now we take the -1 toughness in effect. We see a clear winner here. The MOWER is doing a whooping 5.2 damage average across all the 31 targets per 100 points. And all the others in melee are quite similar, around 1 wound on average across these different targets. So there is a clear winner here. If you want to do nasty melee damage with the Fast Daemon Engines, then of course the Foetid Bloatdrone with the MOWER is the clear winner here. But the others can also, let's say, shoot their weapons in point blank. But so if we apart from the, let's say, in the next phase, if they are locked in combat, in the fight phase, how much damage can they do in point blank shooting? Of course, in point blank shooting, the MOWER doesn't have any weapons to shoot. But here we see the Blight launcher can shoot it weapons with no penalty. It's an assault weapon, so it does the same damage as it did in ranged. The Foetid Bloatdrone with the speeders is also auto hit weapon, not affected, and it's assault weapon by point blank. Here I'm also taking into consideration that the opponent is in -1 toughness while being in engagement range of the Foetid Bloatdrone and these fast attack units. The Myphitic Blighthauler can do some damage, but it has penalties to hit with the Melta and the crack missile. It cannot shoot the frag missile here. And the greater Blightdrone is also paying a penalty to shoot its Blight Reaper cannon. But if we use the Bilious Blood Rush stratagem from Poxmongers, and then they can shoot all their weapons, and they can get +1 to hit. So here you see the orange line. You would get a benefit from +1 to hit in the engagement range. The speeders are not affected because they are auto hit, so they don't gain anything but +1. And the Myphitic Blighthauler is improved because it doesn't pay the penalty for the multi-melta, and it gets +1 to for example, the bile maw, the bile spurt. And also the greater Blightdrone, its heavy weapon, shoots better if you use this Bilious Blood Rush stratagem. Finally, if we compare the damage to say, if we have our units flying to a distance of within 12 inches of the opponent, they shoot all the weapons, they charge and they do the melee attack. How much is the total damage they can do per 100 points? We see the winner is the MOWER. It does 5 wounds on average across the targets, let's say, in everything in melee, and basically doesn't have any shooting. And all the others are a bit, quite lower. They can't do so much in melee, but they can do something in range. Together, they are not super different damage output in the combined shooting and melee phase per 100 points. So all other units are quite close to each other. The Myphitic Blighthauler is a bit better here. And remember also that the Foetid Bloatdrone stratagem can make it heroically intervene 6 inches, and then it can come more often in melee, hopefully, to use its MOWER. So here I would like to summarize the damage output for the units and compare them to some of the other units, like a Hall of Fame or like an overall damage comparison table, like in Top Gear where they put a new time on the board, let's say, when a new driver makes a better time or did. So this is of course work in progress, and I will be adding more units. But if we look at the, for example, the longer range shooting at from 24 inches, then we see the Foetid Bloatdrone with a Blight launcher comes in the fifth spot of the units that I have already calculated, where I showed you on the video with the Plague Burst Scroller with Entropy and Slugger. That was the clear winner at this long range. And the Myphitic Blighthauler comes in the 7th place. The Greater Blightdrone is not very, it's not very, it's not so doing so much damage at longer range. When we come to the shorter range shooting, the Myphitic Blighthauler, as we saw also, is the best of the Fast Daemon Engines. Here, the best I've analyzed so far is the Plague Burst Scroller with Speeders and the Volley Gun. I haven't done a video on this one, but this also tops the charts for the short range shooting. And we see the Foetid Bloatdrone with the Speeders, Blight Launcher, and the Greater Blightdrone are all in the top 10, let's say, but they are not as good as, for example, a Hellbrood or Plague Marines, shooty Plague Marines, for example, here, or even Cultists per point. I mean, the Cultists at short range double firing per points can do a bit too much, I think. And then if we look at the melee, and in the melee comparison, as in the previous video, you could see the Chaos Spawn and the Death Shroud were topping the charts for the melee. The melee squad of Plague Marines, then we have the Possessed, and here we have the Foetid Bloatdrone with the MOWER in the 5th spot here. So, and then all the other the other Fast Daemon Engines, they are a bit outside the top 10. So the MOWER can do damage, significant damage, and it can move faster, for example, than the Possessed or some of the other units. So it's not the highest melee output damage, but it's quite intimidating, and it's fast to go. And basically, this is basically the average number across all the targets I'm simulating. It's the baseline damage, no additional buffs included, except for the -1 toughness for the melee damage. And of course, some of these units can be more buffed, for example, than others, like the core units like Plague Marines and Hellbroods. They can receive more boost than, for example, the Myphitic Blighthauler and the Plague Burst Scroller. So after the damage, let's talk about the durability. So how many shots can the Fast Daemon Engines take before being killed? And basically the 3 units have identical durability base stats. They have the same toughness, the same save 3+, and demonic inval save of 5+, and they have disgusting resilience. So basically they can take the same number of shots if we do not correct with point. And in this table you can see from some selected weapons here how many shots can they take before they are killed. So you can see because they have the high toughness of 7, the normally light fire weapons, they require a lot of shots to take down a Blighthauler or a Bloatdrone. And of course, if we go to the heavy weapons like entropy cannons or melta cannons or las cannons, they can take fewer shots, but still quite a lot of shots before they are killed. The Myphitic Blighthauler. And then of course per point it will be a bit different, because the cheapest is 125, the more expensive is 140, but more or less they have very similar durability. The Myphitic Blighthauler has the advantage not shown really in those numbers, because it has -1 to hit in melee, and I haven't simulated many melee weapons here. So -1 to be hit in melee, it will significantly improve its durability in close combat. Additionally, we have the Myphitic Blighthauler stratagem, which we can play at the start of the opponent's shooting phase to reduce incoming shooting fire. For example, Eradicators, and then for these weapons we will be doubling in essence the survivability. For example, five-man Eradicators will be shooting 10 shots, but if we pop the stratagem, they will only be shooting 5 shots, and they wouldn't be able to kill, let's say, a Myphitic Blighthauler. But if we didn't play the stratagem, one of them would on average be dead. But of course, even if we play this stratagem, the enemy can select to shoot something else in our army, maybe another unprotected Foetid Bloatdrone or something like this. And then we have the Ironclad Relic on top of this durability here that can improve the inval saves from demonic save 5+ to 4+. And this improves the durability by 33% for one of the units in our army. So they would be able to take 33% more shots than shown here by the Ironclad Relic. And then just comparing a durability index for vehicles. Here we see the average shots taken from anti-vehicle weapons. I didn't include the bolters and the light fire. It doesn't make sense here. And I use the Chaos Predator as the baseline, having, for example, the Chaos Predator doesn't have disgusting resilience or demonic save. So this is the durability shots to kill per 100 points. And if the baseline is the Predator, we see the durability of the Fast Attack Daemon Engines is good. It's only the Plagueburst Crawler with its toughness 8 that is more durable than the fast Demon Engines here, the Blightdrone, the Bloatdrone, and the Myphitic Blighthauler. And the Demon Engines here, they can be additionally improved by the Ironclad Furnace Relic. And the Myphitic Blighthauler, not really illustrated here. It has more durability in melee. It can survive 25% more attacks, assuming the enemy is having a 3+ weapon skill, becoming 4+ to hit. And also it gets more durability, reducing incoming fire. So the Myphitic Blighthauler, at least compared to this, it has the potential to be more durable than the other Demon Engines here. But again, the Plagueburst Crawler with the toughness 8 is the #1 durable unit of vehicle. So, coming to the summary of the units and some general observation and some observations for each of the units. In general, the Fast Attack Daemon Engines are durable and highly mobile units that can do some damage. And although in general they are not as hard-hitting as other units, they are very good because they are mobile to penetrate the opponent lines, harass weaker opponents, exploit weaknesses in the opponent's setup, maybe contest some objectives, and spread the contagion for other units. And in these roles, the Bloatdrone and the Blightdrone would be better because they can fly and they are faster, and they can do this harassment, outflanking moves easier than the Myphitic Blighthauler. So looking at the Greater Blightdrone is probably my favorite of the units analyzed, because it's taking the mobility to the extreme. It sacrifices a bit firepower compared to the others, but it's much more fast and really fills a gap where we are a very slow death guard. The cheapest option of those units for 125 points. And as I said, it's great for engage on all fronts, giving you possibility to very quickly start scoring secondary points. It has a variety of weapons and it can always do some damage both in long range, short range, and melee. And I think I just need to add some to my collection. I don't have any Greater Blightdrones, unfortunately. Then if we look at the Bloatdrone with a Blight Launcher, it's not too bad. It can actually do some good long and short range damage, especially against Marines, being a Blight Launcher type weapon. But it's the most expensive Foetid Bloatdrone for 140 points. So I don't think it's very beneficial to take one to let it stand back and shoot. Then it's probably better to take some other more heavy hitting units like the Plagueburst Crawler. So probably in order to take advantage of its mobility and harassing unit, it's probably better to take one of the cheaper options, being the Bloatdrone with speeders. And this is one of my favorite early units when I started with the 8th edition. It's good at short range, and it has the point blank shooting auto hit speeder weapons. And now it's the cheapest Foetid Bloatdrone option for 130 points. In the early 9th, when it went up to 155 points, they were definitely not worth the points. But now with 130, maybe it could be interesting. At least I would myself be trying them for old time sakes. So you get the mobility, you get some damage. It cannot do so much at long range, but you pay less for the mobility the Bloatdrone gives you. Then the Bloatdrone with MOWER is a bit special because this configuration is actually hard hitting in melee, so it can really do a lot of damage, and therefore it can be taken as a damage dealer role, not only, let's say, outflanking and spreading the contagion. So for 135 points, you get a very fast melee unit that you can deliver to the opponent's troops. It's very intimidating, I believe, and it's especially very good versus 2-wound Marines, for example, with a 2 damage weapon. And remember the heroic intervention strat when possible. It doesn't have any shooting, but I think if you just press it forward and come into combat, it will give you the money worth that you spent for it. And then finally, in a more problematic situation, we have the Myphitic Blighthauler. It's not as mobile as the others. It cannot fly, of course, and this unit is not as fast or mobile or maneuverable as the others here, and it's more focused as a close mid-range support unit. It has a multitude of weapons for various purposes. It's a good anti-vehicle with a multi-melta. It's a good anti-personnel. It has a frag missile. It has a crack missile. It has a bile maw. It has also some melee capabilities. Its durability is especially good because it can hold its ground in melee, -1 to hit, and it has the strat to reduce incoming shots. But the biggest problem it's suffering is the hefty price tag of 140 points from previously 100 points, and this lowers its effective damage output. And I think if you really need to find something that does a lot of good damage at close medium range, probably you can find some other unit to fill this role. For example, a Hellbrood or a Contemptor that are additionally core units and can be boosted even more. Of course, the Hellbrood and the Contemptor are not as durable, but you would sacrifice some durability for more firepower in this range. And basically, the Myphitic Blighthauler is also, it lost the biggest advantage it had compared to the others, because previously it was the only Demon Engine that could get a good accuracy with 3+, and now every unit has it, and therefore it lost its edge over the others, and it's costing 40% more. So I would believe we will be seeing less use on the battlefield, unfortunately. So reaching the final thoughts, I think when and if I get my Codex, I think the next thing to invest on are greater Blightdrones. If they can arrive quickly, let's see. I think really they can fill some slot where we are lacking in the Death Guard army. I can't wait to try the MOWER drone against some intercessors, or just mow through some weaker infantry. Maybe in a battle group, a couple of those together with the Demon Prince. That would be really nice, coming close combat and just mowing things away. It looks as ghastly as it's efficient. I'm also tempted to dust off my 3 Bloatdrones with speeders for old time's sakes. I think they could also be doing something, but again, this something is probably better done with a greater Blightdrone that is faster. But for nostalgic reasons, I will probably put them on the table again. And for the Myphitic Blighthaulers, I mistimed getting my 3rd Myphitic Blighthauler. I just got it now when they are expensive and don't benefit anymore from being 3. Or at least I have the nice number 3 in my collection. So what are your thoughts on the analysis and experience on the Battletop with Fast Attack Daemon Engines? Leave some comments with your experience. What do you believe? What will be your favorite unit from the Fast Attack units? Will you be taking any, and in this case, which? If you like this video, please press like, and please subscribe to the channel, helping it grow, and where I will be posting a lot of extra videos on Death Guard tactics going forward. And if you want to additionally support my work, you can feel free to visit my Patreon page, and where I'm also posting additional and more quickly can give you results from different analysis. So with these words, General Yanis is signing out. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.